took you home.
Call the Kingston Springs Board of Commission meeting for November 21st to order. Could everyone please rise and face the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, could you please call the roll?
Josh Etherly. Here. Tony Gross.
Here.
Mike Hargis is absent. Jeff Lorenz. Here. Glenn Rowe.
Here. We have a quorum. The minutes from last month's public hearing and city commission meetings have been circulated. Everyone should have had a chance to read through those. Do we have a motion to approve both of them?
Motion to approve both of them.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. The agenda's been circulated as well. Everyone's had a chance to look at that. So is there any additions, John?
No, sir.
Changes? No changes? Anyone else? Or do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Announcements from commissioners. There he is.
Aye, it was tough.
Nice drive home.
We'll take a minute and let Mike get situated here.
I feel your pain.
Did you wash your clothes?
See the washer machine?
Did you wash your clothes on the highway?
Yeah, about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes.
Good time.
Saw a lot of bumpers.
Tony, we missed who did the second.
On the
Sometimes
minutes.
we can't hear you all. Maybe you should.
Glenn and I
Hey,
are mumbling
Michelle.
over here.
I think it was first, second, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, announcements from commissioners. Josh, you got anything?
No, sir.
Mike?
No, I can give you a traffic report on Saturday.
We already got that from Josh.
It's not good, I can tell you that.
Jeff, do you have anything?
No. I'm hearing from the public that they really appreciate our new officers and that they've been doing quite a good job.
Yeah.
I'm really hearing positive things.
All right, well, the only thing I would add is one of our longtime member of our community passed away last week, Ginger Harris, and she has really lovely service, but she's going to be missed by this community, did a lot to contribute to this community, so I just want to take a minute to mention her. All right, community input and concerns. If you've got something you'd like to say to the commission, just step up to the podium, state your name and address, and speak your mind. Mr. Sanders?
My name is Bob Sanders, 225 Woodlands Drive. First of all, I want to commend the mayor on the job that he did at Virginia Harris's funeral. It made the family very proud, and she was a pillar of this community. So she will be dearly missed. It'll be the first time in over 100 years there hadn't been a Lampley member living here. So we lost a good one. It all happens, and we all know where she went. So I just want to commend you for that. I'm here to speak to y'all tonight about the ordinance of the 24-hour second reading on the 24-hour beer sale. Once again, I urge y'all to pass this and let us get back to business the way we were for the income that it brings to the town. We've never had a big problem with it, and I urge you to pass this on second reading. And that's all I have. I appreciate you letting me come.
That is a really nice jacket you got there, I like that.
Well, I was an hour and a half on the interstate chasing it myself.
Good evening. My name is Mike Russell, and I live in Pegram, but it's 664 Thompson Road. I won't take but just a couple of minutes, I promise. I won't talk garbage too long, but again, my name is Mike Russell, and back in August, I took over as solid waste director for Cheatham County. And so what I really want to do is just introduce myself. One of the things that I found and that we're trying to correct is I felt like we have like a disconnect, if we will, with our residents as far as the county solid waste department. And so we're trying to, rectify a few things. And so what I want to do is just tell you a few things that we're doing there now, some things that have changed, some things that are going to be moving forward, so that if you guys ever have any questions, if your citizens or constituents, they have questions, our door's always open. You can call us. If I don't have the answer, we'll find the answer. But I don't know how often any of you go out there, but what we have done the last few months is really clean the place up. We've tore all these old signs down. We've, the old building that was beside our new building, we've done some remodeling to it. And, you know, the mayor and the county commission have really committed themselves by putting new scales in and having this new state-of-the-art building with scales and offices and things like that. So we're really committed to making it a better opportunity for the citizens. So a couple of things that have changed is, one, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we now accept household hazardous waste. You can bring any type of oil-based paint out there or at any of our centers in the county. You can bring it, we'll dispose of it properly. You can bring these 4-foot, 8-foot tube lights. That's something that they hadn't done in the past, but we're working with the state to bring that program back. One of the things that we're going to ask y'all's input after the first of the year is we're actually been awarded 2 household hazardous waste days, which is really big for us. We're going to have one in the spring over at Sycamore Square in Ashland City, and the fall one will be on this side of the river. You know, if we want to have it at the transfer station, or, you know, we could have it here in Kingston or Pegram.
What is that particular?
Where you can bring anything. So if you're underneath your sink, you've got all kinds of cleaning things. You know, you can bring old gas. If you've got gas in a gas can, you can bring oil-based paint. You can bring latex paint. You can batteries, propane tanks. You can just, in the spring, you know, just get rid of whatever you need to get rid of.
So sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
That's a good question. So there are 2 days a week, though, on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and
you would
Thursdays.
take these to the center.
Only on Tuesdays and Thursdays will we take oil-based paint
Okay.
and the 4 and 8-foot tubes.
Okay.
The rest of the stuff would have to come
On
during
these other days.
one of those 2
Okay,
days.
perfect.
And we'll let y'all know those dates when it comes along. A couple other things that we're introducing, and I'm working on the containers right now, and I can let you know when it starts. But we're going to start taking household post-consumer glass. So beer bottles, whiskey bottles, wine bottles, anything like that, we can start bringing those out there. Let's see, we got the metal. We already have the metal out there. And I don't know how many citizens actually know that we have a single stream recycling container there where you can bring cardboard, you can bring office paper, you can bring aluminum cans, you can bring tin cans, you can have it all mixed together and bring it, and we can put it in one container that we take to Nashville. And so we're just trying to increase the amount of service that we're providing for the citizens, and we just want you guys to be a part of it also. So like I said, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate. I'll drop my card off. Come out, see us if you need us, and just wanted to introduce myself.
We appreciate it.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you guys. And let me tell you one thing, Miss Harris, I wouldn't confirm or deny that she might have whooped my butt once or twice. I appreciate you. I should. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank
evening.
you. All right, department reports, if everyone's had a chance to look at those, do you have anything to add, John?
Yes, sir.
All right. Legal updates?
Just briefly, I know that last month we had a citizen, I think Mr. Sanders came up and spoke about Airbnb. I had some conversations with John, and we'll start some research into that. It's kind of a big bear to overtake, but there's been lots and lots going on with this and with the legislature and stuff, so we'll start looking into this. We may kind of report to y'all as well as the planning commission, and we'll start doing some research on this.
I think we're going to try to spend some extended time at retreat on this issue as well. So.
Does the board have a direction y'all are looking at this?
I was trying to understand that we talked about a little bit, the current language, the way it states is for short-term rental. It doesn't even state short-term rental at all, correct? But the language that says rental right now, does it preclude anything? The current language, what we're under right now.
I have not looked at specifically what we have right now. I've been looking
Okay.
more into the legalese of it.
Gotcha.
Because it's, Metro has all kinds of issues. There's been new legislation, and state legislation. So I'm kind of looking at it from that aspect to see what we can and can't do first.
and then look at currently what we have, and then, you know, get direction from the board on how you want to go.
Yeah, because that was the only thing I kind of wanted to know, the current one, because there is language on long-term rental, but
Yeah.
does that fall under that language?
I mean, to me, that would not be a long.
To me either, but
Yeah, because if you're doing night to night, that's certainly not long-term rent. To me, long-term rental would be just like if you owned a rental piece of property.
because it's never defined.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, unfinished business is second reading of ordinance 19-009, amending Title 8, Section 1 of the Town of Kingston Springs Municipal Code to indicate the sale of off-premises beer shall be allowed to be sold 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Second reading, do we have a motion to approve ordinance 19-009 on second reading?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll, John.
Josh Etherly,
Yes.
Mike Hargis,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Glenn Renwick.
Yes.
Jeff Lorenz.
Yes. That's one about Bob, really.
You're terrible.
All right. New business is motion to, or item A under new business is motion to approve resolution 19-008, approving the lease to Cheatham County for the South Cheatham County Public Library. Everybody's had a chance to do this. Janet, would you like to say anything?
Well, other than 10 years ago, I got a call from Lori Cooper saying the lease was up, and I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Didn't y'all know that you don't own that building? You know, the town does." So I got a lot of education on that, but obviously we have been in our current location for over 30 years, and we love being there. I love being there. It's just it's a wonderful thing, and you know, trick or treat on Main Street, we had over 600 people come into the library, I think just to get warm. It wasn't for the little, those lollipops we were giving out. But,
It'll be even more crowded here in a couple weeks.
yeah, so I just, I love the relationship that we have with the town of Kingston Springs. It's, when I'm out with other librarians around the state, and I'm like, I can't believe some of the stories that they tell, some of the fights that they have to take up. And I said, you know, I wish y'all had the same situation I have, because we work so well with our town, we work so well with our county, and so we appreciate being where we are.
John, do you have anything to add?
No, sir, both the county council and the city attorneys have reviewed and approved this lease agreement.
All right, do we have a motion to approve resolution 19-008?
I make a motion that we approve it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second, who's second?
Oh, sorry, I need a second. We got a second here from
Second.
Glenn. All in favor? Sorry, I'm just so excited to get this library lease.
All for $10.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
There you go, there's an official vote
And I
for
might
you.
not be around this next 10-year cycle.
Oh,
but,
come on, Dave. I'm just gonna say that.
We'll drag you back in for this part.
for this
Just pay your
time.
$10.
We're gonna keep you down there at the library for as long as possible. All right, item B is motion to approve Second South Cheatham Utility District to refund secondary meters to the amount of $18,469.19. Of course, the secondary meters for that.
Tony,
Yes.
I'm going to recommend that you all do not
This is
approve
because of
those
that
at this
one.
time. If you look on there, there is one from Kingston Springs Elementary School for $6,000. I have never known, and I talked to Bob because he was on the board, and I talked to
Yeah.
Lori, it was strictly for residents.
Okay.
So I've not seen, and you all may want to discuss that, because we're going to open Pandora's box, because then you're going to allow everything.
Yeah.
What would they have a secondary meter on?
Well, I text Wanda at the water department, and she came and she told me that they used it for the irrigation of their soccer fields. So they ran the water for irrigating the soccer field through the secondary meters.
I mean, yeah. So what is the language specifically in the ordinance? Does it specify residential?
I
Do we
don't
not have that? We
know.
don't
I
have
mean,
that
I
right now?
just saw this and I just
Never-
caught that. I mean, I thought, man, that's really high. And then so when I was looking at it, I saw that and I thought, I don't ever recall.
I mean, because,
We have Midtown.
if they're
Inn.
watering soccer fields, it's not going through the sewer system theoretically, so,
Right.
it is. But,
Y'all are gonna
okay.
just have to, let us go back and find the ordinance
Okay.
and see what the language was, and then we'll bring it back. And now, you all can go ahead and approve all the others if you want to, and just hold off on that one till we can find out.
And that is because it's not a residence, correct?
Yeah,
So
I've
we have
never
Midtown
seen.
Inn also listed?
I didn't see it,
Midtown
Lynn,
is
but it
also
could be
listed?
on there.
Like 8 or 9 from the bottom on the first page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I may,
see,
it was established because of swimming pool mainly and some residential watering, but it was mainly because of swimming. And it was residential only.
but I mean, this happened a long time ago, and,
Okay, well, we've got Midtown on here and this. Why don't we just push it off till next month?
okay. And we'll go back and find the ordinance and see what the language is.
All right, item C is a motion to amend the 2019-2020 budget for payment of $19,698.20 to Dixon Electric for staking and engineering involved in utility relocation as part of the Safe Routes to School sidewalk project. Don, what's really good?
Both new business items C and D are the same matter, just two different grants. In both cases, the grants are written and do not cover utility relocation. Most, all the Dixon Electric, as far as utilities we've run across so far with both of those grants, are relocating and their mechanicals themselves. However, Dixon Electric has indicated that they don't have the capacity or time for these projects, so they're hiring out a third-party company to do this, which is charging them, and they're making it a pass-through charge to us. We've researched our franchise agreement. We don't have one with Dixon Electric, and we've looked through past ordinances and pretty much everything else we could look through to find a way that might mention the possibility of Dixon Electric still being responsible for these charges, but not found anything.
Okay, so. Right, do we have a motion to approve the 2019-2020 budget? I guess we can go for $19,698.20.
Can I have a question first?
Well, we can discuss it once we have a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Go ahead, any discussion?
So, John, if you find something that says they're responsible for that, we could amend the budget backwards then?
Yes, but we don't have to, even if you should, please step in if I say something wrong, but just because we amend the budget to make these funds available for payment doesn't necessarily mean that we have to make that payment, if it's
Okay.
not necessary.
Right, okay, that's my first question. The second question is, what's the total amount of involved in the grant for the safe schools? What's our part and what's the grant part?
Safe Routes to School was 100% federal grant. However, it does look like the grant itself, or the project itself, will be over the max amount of that grant money available. So
Okay.
it looks like that grant will, last estimate from the contractor or engineering firm, looked like that grant would be close to, I want to say $50,000 over the grant amount.
Okay, well, what's the grant amount?
The grant amount for Safe Routes, I'll have to look and see. I believe it was about
$250,000. 250.
That's the grant amount, so the total cost is about $300K.
Close to 300, yes, sir.
Yeah. And so our investment in that's gonna end up being about 50 grand plus this, right?
Yes, sir.
So, that's still a pretty good trade.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty decent on both these. The
Yeah.
next one, of course, it's going to be, so that one's 95%. So.
95.5.
Is there,
Okay.
are there any other outstanding things, other than the project itself, that could come up as far as, you know? I mean,
Not
this
to my
is-
knowledge, we met with the engineer, it'll be 2 weeks ago tomorrow. This was the only thing that came out of that discussion that was something that wasn't on our radar previously.
Okay.
So just to refresh my memory before we take the vote, the safe route to schools, put sidewalks where?
Sidewalks on Harpeth View Trail from East Kingston Springs Road around to Cedar Court on the
Okay.
middle school side of Harpeth View Trail.
Gotcha, okay.
And then the TAP grants we receive will continue that all the way around as well. So.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second for this budget amendment. John, could you call the roll?
Josh Ellerby?
Yes.
Mike Hargis?
Yes.
Tony Gross?
Yes.
Glenn Remick?
Yes.
Jeff Lorenz?
Yes.
Item D is, of course, the same topic, motion to amend 2019-2020 budget for payment of $18,110.02 to Dixon Electric for staking and engineering involved in utility relocation as part of the Liban Hills multimodal project. It's interesting this one is less.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of interested in.
Distance is,
Right.
Distance is not as great, that is true.
but there's probably more lines on
There's a
all
lot of stuff going on the
sides of the
road.
road.
All right, do we have a motion to amend the budget for $18,110.02?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
John, call the roll.
Josh Ellerby?
Yes.
Mike Hargis?
Yes.
Tony Gross?
Yes.
Glenn Remick?
Yes.
Jeff Lorenz?
Yes.
And I apologize for asking this after, but did they say that they could dig any of this up and find other things that they may have to change?
No, I don't think so. And we've not spoken directly with Dixon Electric yet.
Kind of how we got into the water situation down here, so.
Right, and as far as the other utilities that are involved in the project, Dixon Electric is the only one that's come and said that they're going to need some funds for relocation services.
Okay.
Right. Item E is a motion to approve Kingston Springs Regional Planning Commission to motion to approve Kingston Springs Regional Planning Commission's recommendation for submittal under the town signature, a letter of map revision and LOMAR for Golf Club of Tennessee for FEMA review. Came up with last.
To give a little background, at a recent meeting, we had the city planner and myself had with Golf Club of Tennessee. They presented a hydrology report they had done on a section of their property requesting a LOMA, which is a letter of map amendment from FEMA. The reference to this map here is FEMA's floodplain map of the property. A LOMA, the letter of map amendment, is just that. It's amendment to the map rather than LOMAR, which is a revision. That's MR. The LOMAs, there's not a FEMA engineering review or map change, and the planner had requested after this meeting with the golf club's engineer submission of a LOMAR, a letter of map revision instead. The benefit is the LOMAR submits the hydrology data for FEMA analysis and review, where the LOMA does not. If the town submits the LOMAR request to FEMA, they will do a full study of the data at no cost to the town. That could potentially result in a map change that will help to assure the applicant's still in compliant with the town ordinances. And if the town submits the request to FEMA, we basically stay in that information loop rather than the applicant submitting that to FEMA. The Kingston Springs Regional Planning Commission voted in their November 14th meeting to approve and recommending to this board the approval of the town submission for the LOMAR request to FEMA, and that's what's proposed here. One quick change or addition, the city planner has asked that we include the word conditional to the verbiage, so it would be conditional letter of map revision.
Okay. Okay. But that does, that still means that the that FEMA will pay the entire cost.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, and the town submits it under the town's name. The benefit is there is no cost, and the town is in the loop on all the information received.
Perfect. Okay. I make a motion that we approve that Lomar revision, conditional letter of Lomar revision.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item F is a discussion on the parameters of authorizing the city manager to apply for grants for the town of Kingston Springs.
This is just some direction for me. There were a couple of grants that came up. They're what I would call sort of low-hanging fruit grants that, grant writing is an acquired art to write major grants. There are some smaller grants that are really just forms that you fill out. And there were a couple that were recently presented to us that were very short timeframes. One was a new TDOT grant called the Traffic Signal Modernization Grant. It was a 100% grant from TDOT. So there was no cost for the town if we received such grant, and it's replacing old traffic signals around the state. The second one was the Public Entity Partners, our insurance organization's conservation matching grant for property. We did this last year with City Park. We had the funds already allocated for a gate at City Park, and with this grant we received, they gave us, I believe, $2,000 to go along with that. That grant was open and available again, and it's sort of a first come, first serve. We had funds allocated for security systems at the park, and so I applied for this grant as well, since those funds were allocated. So with these two grants, they're rather small. One was 100% with no cost to the town. The other was something that already had funds allocated that would just be helping to pay money that we had already planned to spend. So I did not want to go out far on a ledge of applying for grants without this body's approval, so I just wanted some direction in the future of your preference, whether I should bring everything or are there conditions. I'm open to whatever suggestions you might have.
So basically, you're asking for permission to go ahead and do it without bringing it in front of this body and slowing it down and getting the back of the line?
On certain conditions, I still don't want to, and I don't feel comfortable bringing things to the body. And in these particular cases, and these, I think maybe are two examples of what might be permissible if it is 100%, there is no cost to the town, or if there are funds already allocated for a project, and we find an opportunity for some supplemental state or federal funds for that project. Those are personally things that I'm comfortable with pursuing, but anything above that, I don't feel comfortable doing. But I wanted to get your thoughts on it first.
John and I had a conversation about this, and thought we should all have a discussion about this, because I can see John's point, but then of course, finances of the city are our responsibility. So I don't know if we want to maybe look at a dollar limit on these grants even, or whatnot, because obviously there's things like safe routes. I don't think John would have ever applied for safe routes without asking. It's a 100% grant, but I don't think that we would want him to just go on that, because obviously, as we see, we're going to be shelling out another $60,000, $70,000 in addition on that. So, and I'm sure John wouldn't have ever felt comfortable applying for a $250,000 grant. So, but then there's some of these things, I know from the fire department, you all applied for some small grants that are just, $5,000. There was a traffic trailer, I believe, and that was a 100% grant, the speed trailer and so on. And so there's things like that. And I don't know what kind of parameters we might want to put on this. Are there many opportunities, John, that you see where these things come up, where the time crunch is such that you wouldn't have time to get board approval, or?
There are not too many. In the case with the Traffic Signal Modernization Grant, the cutoff was yesterday at 4 p.m., so there was not an opportunity. And the opening window was after the October board meeting. So
okay.
So
there are little windows like that.
Yeah. So there are some, but usually they're more than a month span. between the opening of the grant and then the closing of the grant. They say that a lot of them are first come, first served, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that a lot of them really go on need more than anything else. So,
Do you have a recommendation of a dollar amount?
Well, I'm thinking that we should maybe put a monetary cap on it, and as well as another thing that we can put in there as a parameter is if we've already got money budgeted for said thing, and this is going to be something that just reduces some of that burden, then obviously let's do it. So I don't know if we could.
Yeah, the only thing is the language of, like you said, that other one was 100%, but it had extra costs.
And that's the thing with maybe that's something to consider too. These construction, if it's a
Non-construction.
it might be a non-construction grant, because construction grants always like there's a long drawn-out process and everything gets more expensive. So
That might be a better way to do it.
Is that a general enough term? Non-construction.
I think probably if y'all did a resolution as to what you wanted.
Yeah.
And y'all vote on that.
yeah, we just need to probably have some parameters in there.
What's the current language?
there is
There's no current language. This is generally, if it's grants, just come to the board. They're
Yeah.
approved through the board.
But, we don't want to be, penny wise and pound foolish here. I mean, if we're in one of those windows where there's grant money that could help us, instead of allocating tax dollars all by themselves, and we could cushion it with some grant money, it'd be crazy not to do that. So I would say we ought to approve that kind of thing completely. When it's allocated and it could help reduce the cost the city's going to make, that's only prudent financial management to go ahead and give him free rein on that side. You might want to put a dollar amount on something that's not 100%, but
But Tony, we probably couldn't approve. I mean, I don't think my recommendation would be anything that's not 100%. Like, you would leave too much gray area.
well, here's my point. What John's talking about is we allocated money to fix the gate.
Oh, yeah, that
because we've already got money
Right,
allocated.
yeah.
We were either going to pay all of it, or we're going to get a little help from the grant. So I'm saying in those kind of situations where there's a grant available that would reduce cost to the city,
for sure.
that we've already got budgeted,
100%.
we'd be stupid not to go ahead and give him the power to pull the trigger and apply for the grant. Okay, anything that's 100% funded, I'd be comfortable with, especially as long as John is sensitive to the size and scope of that, where you might have some costs on the back end of a 100% grant. A couple examples are on our agenda tonight. And, not that we would change our mind or not allocate the money, we're going to do that in both cases. But we're responsible for the tax revenue and expenditures, so, we need to have a say in that where it could cost us something even on a 100% grant. But I guess the only one that could fall through the cracks is something like that where you got shorter than a 30-day window, and the construction grants usually are longer tail. So I don't know how you write that in an ordinance, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about it.
Are you taking notes, Jennifer?
Yeah, so, all right, so I've got, if it's non-construction,
Yep.
and then do you want a limit on that? Monetary limit?
5,000?
If it's not 100%, I guess. Then
Well, I think it would
we
have to be
a-
written as 100% on one side, and then secondary language to money's already funded.
Right, the money's funded.
All 100% would be.
Any grant that's going to reduce the city's cost, if we get it, we ought to apply.
Well, not all non-construction.
All
because we're looking at
That's what I'm talking about, yeah, non-construction.
yeah, or that are 100%. So I guess we could include anything that's 100% non-construction grant.
That is 100%.
Yeah, and then I guess also we could, not to convolute things too much here.
Which means
if John has the ability to take it to the board, maybe he should. But if it's something that falls within a time frame that he does not have the ability to take it to the board. So.
if it falls.
Right, if the opening and closing of the grant process falls between board meetings.
Between the X.
Right, then work with Jennifer and we'll have a resolution for you in December.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, we have some surplus items from parts. We have 2 metal folding chairs, 1 plastic rolling cart, a LCD projector. Is that the LCD projector I donated to the city property?
If it's under the activity center, it very well could be.
Yeah, that's it. All right, do we have a motion to surplus these items?
Motion to surplus.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any other items for discussion? All right, reminders, there's the Kingston Springs City Hall will be closed Thursday and Friday, November 28th and 29th for the Thanksgiving holiday. The library Christmas tree lighting will be December 5th, and that's a great thing to go to. And then you can follow that up 2 days later and go to the lighted tractor parade as well. And then the Pegram Christmas in the park is December 14th, so you can pretty much 3 days of festivities right there.
First day of Christmas.
I'm gonna
All
go.
right, we have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.